How World War I started is a complicated topic. When I think about the start of the war, I like to think of an analogy. Think of Europe in the years leading up to the outbreak of World War I as a proverbial powder keg, waiting to be set off. You have a series of events that add powder, and as more powder or events pile up, all you need is a single spark until the whole world finds itself at war. Today I'll be talking about what the proverbial powder or events were in Europe that led to a spark, one spark, that caused countries around the globe to go off to war. Now, the spark I mentioned you need to light Europe on fire was the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. The Archduke and his wife were visiting the city of Sarajevo in Serbia on the worst possible day of the year for a foreigner, especially a royal foreigner, to be in the country of Serbia. On June 28th, a national holiday when Serbians celebrate their victory over the foreign occupiers, the Ottomans, in the 14th century, the Archduke and his wife entered the city of Sarajevo. While driving through the streets of the city, a Serbian nationalist, a man by the name of Gavrilo Princip, assassinated the Archduke of the Austro-Hungarian Empire as part of a demonstration of Serbian nationalism against foreigners. 1 month later, Austria declared war on Serbia. So how do we go from the Austro-Hungarian Empire and Serbia at war to the entire world at war? That's where the powder keg that the assassination of the Archduke comes in. There are several main underlying causes of the outbreak of the war. These are the arms race, the mobilization plans in place, and a series of alliances that brought the whole world to war. The first of these we'll talk about are the alliances. In order to protect themselves, European countries entered alliances with one another to ensure that they never found themselves without other countries to help them in case of a war. Serbia, being a small nation, relied on Russia for protection. When Austria declared war on Serbia, Russia stepped in to defend Serbia, her ally. Austria, meanwhile, turned to the leader of Germany, Kaiser Wilhelm, to ask for help. Wilhelm provided Austria with a blank check, saying that Germany would do everything in its power to help Austria in its war against what was now Serbia and Russia. So just to recap where we are at so far. Austria declared war on Serbia after a Serbian nationalist assassinated a member of the Austrian royal family. Russia stepped in on Serbia's side as an ally, and Germany entered on Austria's side. So how do France and the United Kingdom get involved? This brings us to our next part of the powder keg, mobilization. Leading up to the war, European countries had focused intently on perfecting their military strategies to use in future wars. Countries had worked out to the very minute which trains they would use to move troops, which roads carried the most troops, and other details needed to keep an army sustained. Such detail had been thought out in these war plans that any delay meant that another country's plan would be put into action first, which could lose the war. Countries were so focused on using their war plans that there was no room left for averting war, as each hour lost meant an hour behind schedule in the war plan. In Germany, the war plan was known as the Schlieffen Plan. This plan was designed with the idea in mind that war in Germany between France and Russia, the countries surrounding Germany, was inevitable. Fighting a war on two fronts would be difficult, so Germany's plan was to quickly defeat France so that troops could be moved to fight Russia in the east. Russia had already declared war, and Russia was friendly with France. Germany found itself surrounded by two hostile countries. This map does a good job of summing up what Germany must have felt like in 1914. We see the hungry Russia eating her way towards Germany, while German soldiers representing the country look squished, trying to keep both France and Russia from moving in too close. On August 3rd, Germany declared war on France, and proceeded to invade France through Belgium. At this point, almost all of continental Europe was at war. So where is the United Kingdom in all of this? The UK had always relied on her strong navy and the natural defense that being surrounded by water provided, but at this point it would be difficult for the UK to sit idly by. This brings us to our final part of the powder added to the keg, the arms race and mechanization of warfare. European countries had invested heavily in new technology to make sure their armies were as up-to-date as possible. England had begun building new types of ships called dreadnoughts, a sort of precursor to battleships. However, the Kaiser of Germany wanted to have a modern navy as well as part of Germany's arms buildup. The competition between countries to have the best equipped armies became known as the arms race. For every ship that Germany would build, England vowed to build two. Germany's navy began to become a threat to England's own, and the Kaiser made sure to let Europe know that his armies were ready to be used. Even the types of hats German soldiers wore, the Pickelhaube, with its large metal point, looked threatening. The buildup of arms was one way of threatening other countries, and such a buildup, especially of German ships, was a reason that England and her colonies decided to enter the war, supporting France and Russia.